Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the second chapter. So, as the first chapter ended off with the ungodly, all right, leads now into the second chapter, which continues from the the thoughts and the reasonings of the ungodly. So this is Wisdom of Solomon 2:1. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright. So, this is how they reasoned, but it wasn't correct. Our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man, there is no remedy. So he's saying, look, we do all this work. Our life is short. When you die, you're not coming back. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave, right? There's no records of anybody dying and coming back. So generally speaking, you only get one life. That's the YOLO spirit, right? You only live once. So this is their thoughts and their reasoning. So as a result, they end up concluding this. For we are born at all adventure, which is by chance, and we shall be hereafter as though we had never been, right? Once we die and go, it's almost like we never existed. For the breath in our nostrils is as smoke, and a little spark in the moving of our heart. So here, meaning temporary, right? That's the smoke. The breath in your nostrils, which is your life, is as smoke. It doesn't last permanently, and it's like a little spark in the moving of our heart, causing your heart to beat or causing you to live. Which being extinguished, our body shall be turned into ashes, right? So that extinguishing will be when you die, and your spirit. We understand your spirit leaves your body and goes back to the spirit world. But the reasonings of the ungodly is that it's like a fire that's snuffed out, and that's it. You just cease to exist. And your body turns to ashes, right? It breaks down and it becomes part of the earth. And our spirit shall vanish as the soft air. See, and that's why in the verse it says, this is what they reason within themselves, but not aright, meaning it's not correct. So they basically kind of like the belief of the Sadducees in the sense of, nothing after death, right? You just cease to exist. And our name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance. So you'll just literally be like you never were. And our life shall pass away as the trace of a cloud. When you look at clouds, like maybe one day you look up in the sky and you see this like bunny shaped cloud, right? That'll probably be the last time you ever see that, because, eventually the clouds move and then that's it. Like it says, the trace of a cloud. You can't trace a cloud, right? Once a certain cloud is there, one day the form changes, and before you know it, that's it. The next day the skies are clear. So it's likening the life being like ephemeral, right? And let's look at that word, ephemeral. Lasting for a very short time, right? Or transient. Lasting for a very short time. Okay. So that's the mindset that the ungodly carry. It says here, continuing in verse 4, and shall be dispersed as a mist, that is driven away with the beams of the sun. So you'll notice that there are some areas like you wake up and it's misty, right? And then the dew is on the leaves and so on. But as the sun comes, and that's usually early in the morning, but as the sun comes up and it starts to get to the daytime, the afternoon, you don't see that mist anymore. So it says here, given, obviously, unless it's like a very misty day, but on a regular, that's how it is. That is driven away with the beams of the sun and overcome with the heat thereof. For our time is a very short shadow that passeth away, right? So it's temporary. And after our end. Now, you may think 80 years, 70 years, 60 years, 50 years to live is a long time, but it's really not, right? Like a lot of people, when they start getting up in age, they'll tell you like, yo, time flew just like that, you know? It says, and after our end, there is no returning, right? That is like what they said above. Once you die, you're not coming back. For it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again. What that means is it is fast as in firmly sealed, that once you go to the grave, you ain't coming back. So that no man, as it says, so no man cometh again, which is actually not true, right? Because reincarnation is biblical, but they wouldn't know that because they're ungodly. So it says here, where we at with it? Verse 6, come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth. See, so with that reasoning and mindset they have, they now land on the conclusion that, hey, since you only live once, whenever you hear people, like for example, in this modern time, say YOLO, or they'll usually maybe prefix it with F it, right? Or YOLO, you only live once, right? Usually, you're not hearing somebody say YOLO when they're about to do something very disciplined, right? Or they're about to embark on a long, strenuous journey of disciplining themselves to achieve something good. It's usually when they're about to do something stupid, crazy, reckless, or just something that is pleasing to the flesh. Then they'll throw that saying out there. Well, you only live once, right? So you got to make the best of it. So this is kind of the mindset that they have here, right? Oh, if we're only going to live once, we're not going to come back from the dead. When we die, it's going to be like we've never been. Then shit, while we're here, let us enjoy the good things that are present. And let us speedily use, right? Let's use it while we're still alive, the creatures as in youth, right? As in how, when you're young and you have the energy and time, forget, anything long term, just and enjoy the temporary use, okay, the temporary pleasures, the sensual pleasures of man. And the creatures are creation. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass by us. And the flower of the spring passing by us is a figure of speech for not missing a single opportunity, right? Basically, make the best of everything. Let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they be withered, right? Which are like the flowers of the spring. They're not always blossoming, right? It's for a period of time during the year. So they're like, let's take advantage of it. That's using the creatures like as in youth, right? Before it's withered, or before we lose our chance. Verse 9, let us let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. And the word voluptuousness, let's look at that. Voluptuousness. It refers to the quality of being, okay. Okay, it also describes, this is the one here, a state of luxuriousness, abundance, and intense sensory pleasure, often associated with comfort, richness, or sensual indulgence. So that's the mindset, right? As it says, let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. So don't waste this opportunity to be able to enjoy the pleasures of life, okay, the comfort and the riches. Why discipline yourself? Why struggle? Why suffer if you're only gonna live once and it's temporary and it's short? Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place, and a token is a sign, right? So let us leave signs of our actions and our joy in every place, for this is our portion and our lot is this. So this is basically your portion, is like what's meant for you, so if this is the case and this is how our life is, then we might as well do this. Let us oppress the poor righteous man, So you see how quickly this sort of mindset leads down the road of wickedness, because once again, with the mindset they have, what do we gain from being righteous? What do we gain? Because righteousness is tied to discipline. So what do we gain from that? Are we to just struggle all our lives and be righteous and be pious and then just die and then cease to exist? I think not. Let us oppress the poor, righteous man. Let us not spare the widow. So this mindset, right, in the ungodly, as I mentioned in the first chapter, you can see how this is exemplified on a national level, right? Mainly through Esau, Edom, not exclusive, but you can see them exemplify that, right? And also you have our people, and just a lot of people in general that fit under this mindset of the ungodly, right? But mainly when it comes to the oppressing of the poor righteous man, you can see how that highly exemplifies the mindset of Esau, Edom. Okay, and the poor righteous man would be that which is the ones that are pious, the godly. Okay, which when you look at all the nations that are created, the godly nation, right, generally speaking, would be the nation of Israel. But amongst them, you also have some ungodly, right? And so the poor righteous are really the elect, those that fit the traits of what we're about to read concerning the mindset of this righteous man. So they say here, let's oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow. And the widow is often mentioned here in association with one that is basically by themselves, and they can't, it's hard to fend for themselves in society because they don't have a man to provide, right? They may not have, a family that's living or near. So they're sort of on their own. So here they're saying, let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the aged. So your elders, and let our strength be the law of justice. For that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. And what this is saying is, in essence, or in other words, power determines what is right. Right? Let our strength be the law of justice. Through power, we we will establish what we deem to be the law of justice, what we deem to be right, right? Or the strong make the rules, and basically the weak don't matter. That's what they mean, right? For that which is feeble, which is weak, is found to be of nothing worth. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous. When you lie in wait for someone, you're plotting on them, right? Or you're setting a trap for them, because he is not for our turn. And he is not for our turn, meaning that the righteous does not, it's not on board with him, right? The righteous don't think like they do. The righteous are not for their turn. It says, slack here 1 second. Continuing in verse 10 or verse 12, and he is clean contrary to our doings. So he is like an opposite, right? Like a polar opposite of the righteous is like a polar opposite of the wicked, right? The mindset that the ungodly here carry is contrary to that which the righteous man carries, and for that they oppose themselves to him. He upbraideth us with our offending the law. And what is the word upbraideth here? Upbraideth. It's basically to speak against, right? To critically reproach, scold severely, or find fault with someone, often in a harsh or angry manner. So rebuke, right? He rebukes our offending the law because he is one that follows the law of the Heavenly Father. And they hate that. They hate to be rebuked for their wicked deeds. And objective to our infamy, the transgressions of our education, right? So the things that they know are right, that they're going against. Let's go into that word, infamy. They know here that the righteous speak against it. The state of being well known for some bad quality. So they're well known for transgression our education or going against the laws of the Lord. And if you want to see, examples of this, you can see it on many scales, right? When you look throughout the history of Israel, there have been many accounts where even dealing within the nation of Israel, you have this this role play out, right? You had rich, wicked Israelites who were contrary to the righteous, the prophets, the believers amongst them, right? Those that were loyal to the Lord, and they offended them. I mean, they oppressed them. Okay, they put the prophets to death. Why? Because they were being spoken against, right? They were being rebuked. They were being offended. And then when you look on a national level, on a holistic scale, this is what Esau Edom does to us. And even down to this very day, you have the righteous that are speaking out against the deeds of the wicked that they are famously known for. He professeth to have the knowledge of God, and he calleth himself the child of the Lord. He was made to reprove our thoughts. He is grievous unto us even to behold. See, so he is made to reprove our thoughts, meaning that he is made to be contrary to our ungodly mindset and reasoning. Therefore, he speaks against it, and he's staunchly against it. And they don't like that. When you look at the world today, and you look at the way these Edomite rulers who are in power think, they want to eliminate anybody that's in opposition to their New World Order, which is rooted in wickedness and Satanism. Because right now, what we're doing in speaking against their agenda and their plan and mentioning the judgment the Lord is going to bring upon them is reproving their thoughts. He is grievous unto us even to behold. It actually it mentions right in the book of Amos 5, I believe it's 5 and 10. They hate him that rebuketh in the gate, and they abhor him that speaketh uprightly. Who would abhor somebody that speaks uprightly? Those that don't speak uprightly, those that are getting cut. There's a precept that says, if you reprove a wise man, he will bless thee, because he's like, okay, thank you for that. I know I was going off. I was on the wrong path, because he's wise enough to know that he's desiring the right thing to do. But if this is somebody that's doing wickedness and you reprove them, of course they're going to hate you. Look at what they did to Stephen when he when he spoke the truth against them, the wicked Israelites. It says they gnashed upon him with their teeth. So they were it said that they were cut to their heart, and they wanted to kill him. So he is grievous even unto us even to behold, for his life is not like other men's. His ways are of another fashion. Yeah, because he is righteous. So the ways of the righteous are patented after the Lord. And it's not like those of the world. It's not like those of the other nations. The righteous are different. And that bothers and troubles the ungodly. They hate to see that. They hate to behold the righteous. We are esteemed of him as counterfeits. So a counterfeit, let's type that in here. It's like not legit, inauthentic. Counter. Made in exact imitation of something valuable or important with the intention of deceive or defraud. Similar synonyms here are what? Fake, forged, a fraudulent imitation of something else, a forgery. And when you look at society today, you have them that say they are God, the chosen people of God, but they're really a counterfeit of the real chosen people of the Lord. That's one example, right? You have those that are proclaiming that they claim the heritage of the Lord's real people, but in actuality, they're not. They're counterfeit, and they have to forcefully, and force their way to do things to appear as such. But when you go into counterfeit, as it says here, we are esteemed of him as counterfeits, as in, illegitimate. He abstaineth from our ways as from filthiness, and that's the righteous from the ways of the ungodly. right? The righteous stay away from the ungodly and their ways, as though it's filthy, as though it's dirt, it's wicked, it's dirty. He pronounceth the end of the just to be blessed, and maketh his boast that God is his father. And we do that, right? Because we're in the stead of the righteous man. And you've had men, in the past in different generations that have been in the stead of the righteous man. And it's going to be similar over and over and over again. Believers, you even had women that had this mindset. Because remember here, the spirit of the ungodly remains the same regardless of the vessel it's in. And likewise, the spirit of righteousness is the same regardless of the vessel that it's in. So the righteous will always be contrary to the doings of the ungodly. They will always have that spirit within them to want to upbraid those that offend the law, right? They will always be made to reprove the thoughts of the wicked or the ungodly. And likewise, the ungodly in whatever generation they're in, whoever embodies that spirit, the righteous are going to be grievous unto them to behold. So this is why you can see the examples of this dichotomy between the righteous and the ungodly in different times or different points in time on different scales. On a nationalistic scale, when you look at the Edomites and you look at the Israelites, on a more granular scale, when you look at even amongst Israel, the righteous, the elect versus the wicked amongst our people. When you look at even how the wicked scribes and Pharisees and Sadducees looked at and treated Yahushua, he was likened unto a righteous man, and they were likened unto the ungodly. He told them that you are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. So he became grievous unto them to even behold, which is why they wanted to kill him. So where are we? Let's see, verse 17. Oh, well, ending verse 16, right? He pronounceth the end of the just to be blessed, and maketh his boast that God is his father. Which is so, right? Because the righteous know what the blessing of the just is going to be. Because the Lord has made it clear that there is a reward for living a righteous life. The ungodly wouldn't know, because they believe that once you die, that's it. You got to make the best of this life in terms of just pleasures of the flesh. And he maketh his boast that God is his father. Let us see if his words be true. So now, right, that's the mindset of the ungodly. Let's go and try that. Let's go and prove that. Yeah, let's put it to the test. He's saying that God is his father, that his end is blessed. Okay. Let us prove what shall happen in the end of him. Since he claims here that the just are going to be blessed. For if the just man be the son of God, he will help him. Right. So if he is the son of God, then of course God is going to come and help his son, is he not? Let us he will help him and deliver him from the hand of his enemies. And it is through this mindset that they go and seek to slay the righteous, to prove and to test. Okay, you were saying all these things. Oh, let's see the God that you are proclaiming to be your father come and help you now. And this is the same spirit that was in Esau, right? You see it throughout different generations. You saw it in the time of Antiochus and what they did when he one example was when he was torturing the 7 brothers and their mother. That was because they said they believed in their God, and then he had each one tortured in front of the other to say, okay, well, let's see. He'll come and deliver you now. Something similar also with the time of Nebuchadnezzar and the 3 holy children, when they refused to bow down to his image, and when he through his judgment proved what they said, it was found to be true. Right? It was found when he saw the Lord deliver them from that fire. And you can go on and on and on with the different comparisons here. Okay, but I think the point is made. Verse 19, let us examine him with despitefulness and torture. And the examine here is not like to give him a written exam, SATs, or the regents. Examine is like to torture, right, or interrogate, but with despitefulness and torture, that we may know his meekness. So it's like putting him to the test, right, and prove his patience. So he claims to be this righteous man. Let's see. Let's see if he'll keep that same energy, being tortured, being treated despitefully. This is why ultimately the ungodly end up, when you see their reasoning, right, you may think, well, going back to verse 1, well, if that's what they think and they just want to have fun in their life, why can't they just have fun in their life? Because this is where it leads to. It doesn't stop at just, well, let me just eat ice cream and go to Six Flags every day. It goes further and further, because now there's no bounds to their wickedness. They start to push the envelope more and more and more. Well, shit, what's going to happen? Ain't nothing going to happen. I'm just going to die and cease to exist. So why should I care, how I treat the righteous, or how I treat this person or that person? And especially worse when they have power, or when they're in authority, when the ungodly are in authority, because that's when they have the ability to do these things. Verse 20, let us condemn him with a shameful death. And knowing that this is the spirit of the ungodly, and knowing that the spirit of ungodliness is in or embodied in Esau Edom, you can see why it is that they're going to come after the righteous with this same kind of mindset. Oh, you guys are out there saying that you're the sons of God, and he's going to deliver you, and he's going to do what? What, the spiritual what? Power? Whoa, okay. Let's see how that's going to go. Why don't you break through these chains while being underwater? Shackled in a cage somewhere. Would you like to try that? Just it's that kind of wicked mindset that they have. Verse 20, let us condemn him with a shameful death, for by his own saying he shall be respected. Right? So the Lord is going to help him. If, according to him, his father, which is God, is going to come and help him. So let's see. Right? Let's condemn him to a shameful death. Let's put him to death, in a painful and gruesome way, in a non-honorable way. Verse 21, such things they did imagine and were deceived, for their own wickedness hath blinded them. See? So as it's mentioned here, that these things, going back to the first verse, they reasoned within themselves, but not aright. They were completely off, missed the mark completely. It's like shooting an arrow and not just missing the bullseye, but the arrow is now doing a U-turn and coming to stab you or pierce you. As for the mysteries of God, they knew them not, neither hoped they for the wages of unrighteousness, nor discerned a reward for blameless souls. See, so they didn't know or understand the actual truth, the mysteries of the Lord, and how he works and how he thinks and how he judges certain cases. They didn't know that. And due to their lack of understanding, they didn't even hope for the wages or the reward of the righteous or of righteousness. They just threw that out the window and went straight for wickedness, made a covenant with death, nor discerned a reward for blameless souls. See, neither did they consider the reward that will come to those that were blameless. For God created man to be immortal and made him to be an image of his own eternity. See, so that's why when you go back to the beginning, Adam was made immortal in the image of the Lord's own eternity. Nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world, and they that do hold of his side do find it. You see, because through that envy, why do you think the serpent came and swayed Eve and then Adam, and basically swindled them out of immortality? Because they were envious, or he was envious. Okay, remember that the spirit, the mindset that they have is that they are esteemed as counterfeits, and so through that deceit that came through the envy of the devil, death entered into the world. And that's why when you go back to the first chapter, it mentioned that the Lord didn't create death, to the kingdom of death to be upon the earth, right? It was through the actions of those that the Lord created. It was through the actions of creation. In this case, for example, the deception that came through envy of the devil, that then introduced death into our world, because we're the ones who had immortality. And they that do hold of his side do find it. So if you take hold of this, of that side, right? Remember, the ungodly made, when you go back to the first chapter, they took hold of death, made a covenant with it. So if you join with them to take hold of their side, what do you think you're going to be fine? I mean, what do you think you're going to find? A nice bucket of death waiting for you, put it plainly. And that brings us to the end of the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the second chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodesh. Until next time, Shalom.